The latest buzz shaking up the love and hip-hop world has everyone talking, and the cameras didn't miss a single second of it. A shocking altercation between Rasheeda Frost and Sierra has surfaced in the new episode, and fans can't stop replaying the moment. The tension that had been brewing for weeks finally boiled over, leading to a clash that left the entire cast stunned. Whispers, accusations, and emotions running high turned what was supposed to be a glamorous night into pure chaos. What really sparked this heated exchange? Was it jealousy, a hidden betrayal, or a misunderstanding blown completely out of proportion? The footage making its way across social media suggests that there's more to this fight than meets the eye, and insiders hint that the argument may have deep roots tied to past grudges and secrets. With drinks flying, voices raised, and friends scrambling to intervene, viewers are calling it one of the most unforgettable moments of the season. As the dust settles, fans are left wondering, will Rasheeda and Sierra ever recover from this explosive confrontation? Or has the show just witnessed the birth of its most intense rivalry yet? The new episode opened with what seemed like a regular night of glam, music, and high energy. But hidden beneath the smiles and laughter was a storm that no one saw coming. Rasheeda Frost walked in wearing her confidence like armor, her presence commanding the room, while Sierra tried to keep her cool, though her body language already gave away that something was off. The two had shared tension in the past, but this time it felt different, heavier. Almost as if an invisible line had already been crossed. As the night unfolded, small remarks began to stir the air. A comment here, a sideways glance there, and before long, people started whispering that trouble was brewing. Fans who tuned in later could feel it through the screen. The energy was undeniable, thick with suspense. Bambi leaned over to one of the girls at the table and quietly said, "I don't like where this is heading. This is about to blow up." The cameras caught it all, and her prediction wasn't far from the truth. Sierra, trying to maintain her composure, finally broke the silence. She looked straight at Rasheeda and said, "I don't know why you always feel the need to put me down. It's like you can't stand to see me shine." Her voice was steady, but her eyes carried fire. The room immediately went quiet. Glasses paused halfway to lips, and all attention shifted to Rasheeda. Rasheeda leaned forward with a smirk that barely disguised her irritation. "Shine, girl, I've been in this game long before you even thought about stepping into it. Don't confuse constructive criticism with shade." Her words cut sharp, and the way she emphasized them sent chills through the air. The tension only grew thicker as others began to react. Carly Red, never one to stay silent when drama is in the air, chimed in with her signature laugh saying, "Oh Lord, here we go again. Somebody better hold my drink because this is about to turn into a headline." Her comment, half joking, only made the atmosphere more intense, and fans later said they couldn't believe how quickly things spiraled. Sierra pushed her chair back and stood, her voice rising. "You're not about to sit here and act like you're better than me. You might think you've got the crown, but that doesn't give you the right to treat me like I'm beneath you." Her words echoed through the space, leaving everyone wide-eyed. People began pulling out their phones, knowing a moment like this could not be missed. The idea of Rasheeda and Sierra clashing in such a public way had been whispered about before, but no one thought it would actually happen. Yet here it was, unfolding right before their eyes, and the cameras made sure every second was captured. Rasheeda, never one to back down, stood up as well, meeting Sierra face to face. "Beneath me? Don't flatter yourself. I don't see you as beneath me, but I definitely don't see you on my level either. You talk like you've built something, but what you've got wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for the path I paved." Gasps filled the room, and Bambi tried to step in, raising her hands as if to calm the storm. "Y'all need to chill. This isn't the time or the place." But the two women were too far gone to hear reason. The back-and-forth heated exchange turned into a fiery debate about respect, loyalty, and betrayal. Rasheeda accused Sierra of being ungrateful, of riding the coattails of those who came before her, while Sierra shot back that Rasheeda was jealous, unable to handle anyone else shining in the spotlight. "Jealous?" Rasheeda repeated, her tone dripping with disbelief. "Me? I don't need to be jealous of you or anyone else. I've built my name, my brand, my family, everything from the ground up. What exactly do you think I would be jealous of?" Sierra didn't hold back, her voice trembling not from fear, but from rage. "You built your brand, yes, but you also built walls. Walls that you hide behind so no one sees the cracks. And the moment someone tries to step up, you tear them down because you can't handle the thought of being replaced." Those words hit like a grenade, and for a moment the entire room froze. Jaws dropped, eyes darted from one woman to the other, and even the cameras seemed to pause as if shocked by what had just been said. Rasheeda's face hardened, her eyes narrowing as though every syllable had cut deep. Fans watching later commented online, saying they had never seen Rasheeda look so close to losing her cool. "This was the breaking point," one viewer tweeted. "You could literally see the shift in her face when Sierra said that." But just when it seemed the argument couldn't escalate any further, Bambi, who had been hovering nearby, decided to insert herself more directly. "Sierra, you need to stop acting like the victim all the time. It's getting old. Rasheeda isn't the problem. Maybe you are." The crowd reacted instantly, some cheering, others shaking their heads, knowing that Bambi's comment just added fuel to an already raging fire. Sierra turned to her with a look of betrayal, her voice cracking under the weight of emotion. "You too? I thought you were my friend Bambi, but I see where your loyalty really lies." The betrayal stung, and her words sent ripples through the crowd. The idea that friendships could fracture so quickly right in front of the cameras had fans glued to their screens. Social media exploded with comments, people debating who was right, who was wrong, and who was just stirring the pot for attention. Drinks spilled as voices got louder, security edged closer, and yet no one dared to fully step in because this was more than just a spat. It was years of tension, hidden rivalries, and unspoken truths finally coming out in the open. The episode gave fans exactly what they wanted: raw, unfiltered drama that felt bigger than the show itself. And in the middle of all that chaos, Rasheeda and Sierra stood inches apart, each daring the other to cross the line. The night that started with glitter and glamour had transformed into something unforgettable, a clash that fans would be talking about for weeks. The shouting match between Rasheeda and Sierra only grew louder, and though security hovered close by, they hesitated to step in because the cameras were rolling, and every second promised explosive television. Fans later said it felt like the kind of drama that could define an entire season, a moment where alliances shifted and reputations cracked. Sierra leaned forward again, her voice shaking with fury. "You think you can dismiss me like I'm just some background act? But people are watching me now. They respect what I bring to the table. Maybe that's what really scares you, Rasheeda." Rasheeda let out a bitter laugh, shaking her head slowly as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Scared? I don't even think about you, girl. You're the one making this a competition. I was minding my business, but clearly you feel threatened enough to come for me tonight." The tension between them was so thick that even casual onlookers shifted uncomfortably, whispering among themselves. Someone from the back shouted, "This is about to get ugly," and they weren't wrong. Carly Red, sipping her drink with wide eyes, couldn't hold back her commentary. "Lord, I've seen some fights in my day, but this right here is about to go down in history." As if the moment wasn't dramatic enough, Yandi decided to step into the conversation, her tone trying to cool the flames, but instead adding another layer of intensity. "Listen, I've been where both of y'all are, and I know how pride can cloud everything. But maybe this isn't the place to drag each other down. Remember, people are watching, and this is bigger than just the two of you. But instead of calming things down, Yandi's words seemed to remind everyone that the cameras were indeed watching, and that realization pushed both women further into proving their point. Sierra turned sharply, gesturing toward Yandi. "Don't act like you don't know what she does. You've seen how Rasheeda always tries to play Queen Bee, talking down to everyone else like she's untouchable." Yandi looked conflicted, torn between defending Rasheeda and keeping the peace. Before she could respond, Rasheeda's voice cut through the noise, sharp and commanding. "What you're not going to do is drag my name through the mud in front of everyone. I've worked too hard for that. You don't get to stand here and rewrite history just because you're having a moment." The crowd gasped again. Phones tilted higher, capturing every second of this verbal war. Fans later replayed the footage frame by frame, analyzing every expression, every hand gesture, and every slip of emotion. It wasn't just a fight. It was entertainment gold. Bambi stepped closer. Frustration etched across her face. "Y'all don't get it. This isn't just about one night, it's about respect that's been missing for a long time. Rasheeda has always given credit where it's due, but Sierra, you act like everyone owes you something." Those words only deepened the rift. Sierra's eyes filled with tears, though she refused to let them fall. "Respect? Don't talk to me about respect when I've been standing by friends who turn around and stab me in the back. Don't stand there and tell me I'm ungrateful when I've had to fight for every bit of recognition I have." Her emotional outburst hit the room hard, pulling at the hearts of those who once thought she was simply overreacting. Even the fans later admitted they felt torn, caught between understanding her pain and questioning her motives. Rasheeda, however, wasn't moved. If you had to fight so hard for recognition, maybe it's because you're not giving enough to be recognized. Don't blame me for your struggles. I built my brand brick by brick, and no one handed me anything. So don't come for me just because you feel overlooked. The confrontation turned into a battle of past wounds, each side throwing out accusations that hinted at years of resentment. Viewers speculated online that there had been private arguments behind the scenes long before this night, arguments that the cameras never captured until now. Just when it seemed the verbal clash might cross into physical territory, Kirk Frost stepped forward, his voice firm but uneasy. That's enough. Y'all need to stop embarrassing yourselves. This ain't the way to handle it. His attempt at authority drew mixed reactions. Some in the crowd nodded in agreement while others booed, thinking he was shutting down what was turning into the biggest moment of the season. Sierra snapped at him instantly. Of course you'd defend her. You always do. But you don't know the half of it, Kirk. You don't know the things she says behind closed doors. Rasheeda's eyes widened, her face flushing with anger. Don't you dare bring my marriage into this. Leave Kirk out of your mess. This is between me and you. But the damage was already done. Dragging Kirk's name into the fight gave the confrontation a whole new angle, pulling family dynamics into a feud that had already stretched beyond control. Fans online later commented that this was the moment the argument went from petty to personal, and it changed the entire tone of the fight. Yandi, still trying to de-escalate, raised her voice over the chaos. This isn't going anywhere good. The more y'all talk, the deeper this cut gets. Think about tomorrow. Think about how this will look when the cameras show it to the world. But no one was thinking about tomorrow. In that moment, the only thing that mattered was proving who was right, who held the power, and who would walk away unbroken. Sierra wiped her eyes, her voice breaking as she screamed, "You don't get to control me anymore. I'm done living in your shadow." Rasheeda stepped closer, so close that security finally shifted into position, ready to step in if hands were thrown. Shadow? The only reason you even have a light is because I showed you the way. Don't ever forget that. The line landed like a thunderclap, silencing the room for a moment before an uproar of gasps, shouts, and shocked laughter broke out. Fans would later describe it as the dagger that cut the deepest, the sentence that turned an argument into a full-blown war. At that point, emotions were so high that no one could pull them back down. Sierra's hands trembled at her sides, her breathing heavy as if she was fighting to hold herself together. The cast members nearby looked torn, some moving closer to intervene while others stayed back, clearly unwilling to get caught in the crossfire. And still, the cameras rolled, capturing every flicker of rage, every flash of betrayal, and every painful truth that had been hidden until now. The room was already a storm of voices, but what happened next pushed the entire situation into territory no one was prepared for. Sierra, breathing heavily, finally let the emotions spill out that she had been holding in for far too long. I've been quiet, I've been patient, but not anymore. You sit on your throne and act like everybody should bow down, but the truth is you've been scared of me since the beginning. The crowd gasped, and Rasheeda froze for a second, her face hardening. Her silence was brief, though, because she quickly snapped back. Scared of you? Don't flatter yourself. I don't lose sleep over you. I've been holding this circle together while you've been too busy making excuses for your failures. The accusation hit Sierra hard, and her hand slammed down on the table, rattling glasses and sending shockwaves through the group. Failures? The only failure here is your inability to admit you're insecure. Every time I get a little shine, you're right there trying to dim my light. You don't uplift, you undermine. The audience of friends and castmates shifted uncomfortably, not knowing which side to take. Some nodded at Sierra's words, others whispered in agreement with Rasheeda, but no one could deny this was bigger than just one night. Years of silent resentment had finally cracked wide open, and everyone was watching. Bambi stepped forward again, her voice sharper now. Sierra, you keep calling yourself the victim, but maybe you're the one causing the drama. Rasheeda's been nothing but loyal, and all you do is look for reasons to blame her. Sierra spun toward Bambi, tears now rolling down her face despite her effort to stay strong. Loyal? Don't talk to me about loyalty when loyalty to her means turning your back on me. You think it's loyalty, I think it's control. And you're so deep in her shadow you don't even see it. The sting of those words visibly shook Bambi, but she stayed planted, her arms crossed in defiance. Fans later debated endlessly online, some saying Sierra finally exposed what others were too afraid to say, while others insisted she was only lashing out because she felt cornered. Rasheeda, though wasn't moved by tears or accusations. She took a step closer, her voice low but venomous. Don't mistake my silence for weakness. I've let things slide before, but tonight you went too far. You want to paint me as the villain? Fine. But don't forget, villains are remembered long after the victims are forgotten. The line was chilling, and even the cameras seemed to linger on her face, capturing the fire in her eyes. Social media later exploded with clips of that exact moment, fans calling it one of the most iconic lines ever delivered on the show. Carly Red, ever the instigator, clapped her hands together dramatically. "Oh my God, this is legendary! I don't even know whose side to be on, but I do know the internet is about to break tonight." Her laughter rang out, fueling the chaos even more. Sierra's chest heaved as she struggled to catch her breath, her voice breaking as she shouted, "You think this is about fame, but it's not. It's about respect, and I've had enough of being disrespected by you and your so-called loyalty crew." As if the words themselves summoned another twist. Someone in the crowd shouted that the footage was already trending online. People in the room pulled out their phones, showing screens lit up with live posts, hashtags blowing up in real time. The fight had escaped the room and was already making waves in the outside world, magnifying the humiliation and the intensity of every word. Yandi put her hands on her head, muttering to herself, "This is out of control." They're not just fighting each other, they're tearing apart everything we've built together. She tried one more time to step in. "Listen, both of y'all have valid feelings, but this is turning into something that none of us can take back. Think about your families, your brands, your reputations. One night of rage can undo years of work." Her plea hung in the air, but neither Rasheeda nor Sierra seemed to hear it. They were locked in their own war, too deep to pull back. Rasheeda raised her chin, her voice trembling now with the weight of anger and hurt. "Families? Don't bring families into this. I've sacrificed everything for mine. Don't you dare stand there and act like I don't know what that means. Dare stand there and act like I don't know what that means." Yandi put her hands on her head, muttering to herself, "This is out of control. They're not just fighting each other, they're tearing apart everything we've built together." She tried one more time to step in. "Listen, both of y'all have valid feelings, but this is turning into something that none of us can take back. Think about your families, your brands, your reputations. One night of rage can undo years of work." Her plea hung in the air, but neither Rasheeda nor Sierra seemed to hear it. They were locked in their own war, too deep to pull back. Rasheeda raised her chin, her voice trembling now with the weight of anger and hurt. "Families? Don't bring families into this. I've sacrificed everything for mine." "Don't you dare stand there and act like I don't know what that means," Sierra fired back immediately, her words like knives. "You sacrificed, yes, but you also sacrificed friendships. You sacrificed trust. And for what? To stand on a pedestal that nobody asked you to build." The words cracked through the air like thunder, leaving silence in their wake. For a moment, no one spoke, no one moved. The entire cast was frozen, caught between disbelief and anticipation, waiting to see who would break the silence first. And then, as if on cue, Kirk spoke up again, his frustration boiling over. "This has gone far enough. Y'all don't realize the damage you're doing right now. This isn't strength, this is destruction. You're tearing each other apart in front of the world, and once it's out there, you can't take it back." But even Kirk's voice couldn't stop what had already been unleashed. Sierra turned her back on him, shaking her head with disbelief. "You don't get it, Kirk. This isn't your fight. This is about me finally standing up for myself." Rasheeda scoffed loudly, rolling her eyes. "Standing up for yourself? No, this is about you craving attention. You chose the loudest moment, the biggest crowd, and the brightest lights to air out what you could have said to me in private. That's not strength. That's desperation." The accusation stung, and Sierra's face twisted with rage. Her voice cracked as she shouted, "No, this is the only way you'd listen. Every time I tried to come to you, you brushed me off. Well, now you can't ignore me because the whole world is watching." The crowd erupted in cheers and shouts, some applauding her boldness, others shaking their heads in disbelief. It was a spectacle unlike anything they had ever seen, and the energy was electric, almost unbearable. In that moment, it became clear that this wasn't just a fight between two women. It was a battle of legacies, of pride, of years of hidden scars finally bleeding out into the open. Fans watching from home felt every word, every glare, every tear, and the internet buzzed with speculation about how this would change the dynamics forever. And still, the night wasn't done. With the room on edge, drinks scattered across the floor, and voices rising like a storm, it felt as though the fight had only just begun. With no sign of resolution in sight, the energy inside the room had reached a point of no return. And though security lingered nearby, even they seemed frozen, unsure of whether to intervene or let the cameras capture what was quickly turning into the most explosive moment of the season. The air felt heavy, charged with tension, and each word thrown between Rasheeda and Sierra was like gasoline on an already raging fire. Sierra's voice wavered but stayed powerful as she pointed at Rasheeda. You've been acting like a queen for years, but a real queen uplifts her people, she doesn't crush them. You think everyone owes you respect just because of your history, but respect is earned, not demanded. Rasheeda stepped closer, eyes locked on Sierra, her tone sharp and cold. Respect is earned, and I earned mine long before you even knew what loyalty meant. Don't come into my space and try to rewrite the rules. I built this table, and you wouldn't even have a seat if it wasn't for me. The crowd erupted with shouts, some gasping, others cheering at Rasheeda's declaration. Even those who tried to stay neutral were pulled into the energy. Their faces twisted in shock as they realized just how deep the wounds between these two women ran. Sierra's hand trembled as she wiped tears from her face, her voice breaking under the weight of betrayal. A seat at the table? I don't need your table, Rasheeda. I've got my own now, and maybe that's why you can't stand me, because I'm no longer depending on you to validate me. Those words struck like a lightning bolt, leaving the room in stunned silence for a brief moment before murmurs spread. Fans later said that line was the heart of the fight, the sentence that showed Sierra wasn't just lashing out. She was declaring independence from the shadow she had long felt trapped under. Bambi shook her head in disbelief, muttering under her breath but loud enough for the cameras to catch. This is ridiculous. She's burning every bridge she has. But even her words couldn't stop the flood. Then came a voice from the corner that no one expected to hear at that moment. Carly Red, with her usual dramatic flair, raised her glass and shouted, "To broken crowns and new queens, let's see who wears it better." Her sarcasm cut the room like a knife, drawing laughs from some and groans from others, but it underscored just how divided the room had become. Rasheeda's patience snapped completely. Her voice rose above the crowd, fierce and unwavering. You think walking away makes you strong? Walking away without respect makes you weak. You don't get to tear me down and then play the hero. Not here, not in front of my family, not in front of my people. Sierra, shaking, stood her ground. And you don't get to silence me anymore. This isn't just your world, Rasheeda. This is ours too, and it's about time somebody reminded you of that. The confrontation was now so heated that even Kirk stepped forward again, visibly stressed. Enough, both of you. This has gone too far. Look around, this is chaos. Y'all are tearing each other apart for the whole world to see, and the damage can't be undone. But Kirk's voice was drowned out by the storm between the women. Rasheeda and Sierra leaned closer, faces just inches apart, and the cameras zoomed in, capturing the raw emotion in their eyes. It was anger, pain, pride, and heartbreak, all colliding in one electric moment. The other cast members finally tried to form a wall between them, pushing chairs back, urging them apart, but the damage had already been done. Words had been spoken that could never be taken back. Accusations hurled that would linger long after the lights went down, and just as security managed to pull them apart, Sierra shouted over the crowd, her voice echoing like a final strike. This is just the beginning. You wanted a fight? You've got one, but don't expect me to bow down ever again. The declaration sent the crowd into frenzy, some clapping, others shouting in disbelief. Fans watching at home later said it felt less like a resolution and more like the opening shot of a war that would define everything moving forward. Rasheeda, being held back, glared across the room with fire in her eyes. You don't scare me, and you never will. Remember that, her words, calm yet venomous, landed with the kind of weight that promised this feud was far from over, as the cameras panned across the chaos, spilled drinks on the floor, makeup smeared from tears, cast members caught between shock and exhaustion. It was clear that the night had turned into one of the most unforgettable episodes in the show's history. Nothing would ever be the same after this. When the dust began to settle and people slowly found their seats again, the whispers continued. Questions hung heavy in the air. Who would take sides? How would the families react? And what would happen when this footage hit the public? Everyone knew the fight wasn't ending here. It was only taking a new form, one that would spread beyond the room and into the lives of everyone involved. Later that night, social media was already ablaze. Clips of the fight trended instantly. Hashtags flew across platforms, and fans debated fiercely in the comments. Some defended Rasheeda, praising her strength and legacy, while others rallied behind Sierra, calling her brave for finally speaking out. It was chaos online, mirroring the chaos that had just unfolded in the episode. As dawn broke the next day, insiders whispered that producers were thrilled, calling it the most talked about moment in years. But for the women at the center of it all, this wasn't just television. It was personal, raw, and unresolved. And while fans celebrated the drama, the real question loomed larger than ever. What comes next? Would Rasheeda and Sierra ever find common ground? Or had this fight permanently drawn a line in the sand? The only certainty was that this clash had left scars that would not heal overnight, and the echoes of their words would shape the storylines, friendships, and rivalries for months to come. The world had witnessed the crown slip, the bonds break, and the beginning of a feud that no one would forget. As the dust finally began to settle, the echoes of that explosive night still lingered in everyone's minds. Friendships had been tested, loyalties questioned, and reputations shaken to the core. What started as a glamorous evening turned into a battlefield of words, accusations, and emotions that no one could have predicted. Fans were left stunned, some siding with Rasheeda for standing her ground, while others rallied behind Sierra for finally speaking her truth. The divide was clear, and the aftermath of this clash promised to ripple through every corner of their world. But the biggest question remains: where do they go from here? Will Rasheeda and Sierra ever find a way to repair the damage? Or has this fight created a permanent fracture in their relationship? How will the rest of the cast react when the fallout spreads? And what new alliances will be formed in the wake of this chaos? The episode may be over, but the story is far from finished. The drama is alive, the emotions are raw, and the tension continues to build. And now, it's over to you. What do you think about this shocking showdown? Was Rasheeda right to defend her legacy, or was Sierra justified in finally standing up for herself? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because we want to hear from you. Don't forget to hit that like button if you were just as shocked as the rest of us, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of the drama. Turn on your notifications, because if this episode taught us anything, it's that you never know when the next explosion will happen. The cameras are rolling, the stakes are higher than ever, and this story is only getting started.